We are in June, and Carnival, as the Saint Lucia Labour Party, well, the government of Saint Lucia has announced, is mid-July. Why are we having Carnival this year?
Well, I think, first of all, Carnival is part of the landscape of Saint Lucia. It's part of our cultural environment, our cultural landscape. And, you know, we believed, as far back as last year, that we had to start planning for the future and for us to be able to restore on the calendar of events the major activities that, one, define us and, you know, contributes to the identity of who we are. But also, those events are very significant in terms of economic activity in the country. Carnival is the largest single economic activity in the country. There may be a lot of people in our society who don't support Carnival because they believe that the nature of Carnival, the music, the dance, the drinking, should not be encouraged. The reality is that Carnival historically has been part of our society, and certainly, you know, Carnival is part of us, but it's a very significant economic activity. Literally thousands of people, you know, feed off the Carnival season and the Carnival industry. And in terms of arrivals, July is our largest month, certainly if you look at the figures for 2019. So towards the end of last year, when we looked at the landscape, we decided that, look, Saint Lucia should host Carnival in July. At that time, no other Caribbean island had announced that they were going to host Carnival. And of course, you can imagine the beating I took in the media, and especially on social media. But we were thinking then that as the country is starting to open up, as globally other countries are starting to adjust to life with COVID, we recognize that, you know, 11 months down the road, we could not tell where we could be. It may be a worse situation, but it may also be a more managed situation. And therefore, we should start planning in case it's a managed situation. We were very cognizant that if the situation had gotten worse, we would have had to pull back.
Of course.
But we had to be proactive. And we had to be able to say, if things remain as is, how can we make this singularly important activity happen? And we came up with the concept of Vax Mass, that we would allow it to take place within a bubble for only vaccinated individuals. We also thought then that itself would be an impetus and a motivation for people to get vaccinated. And of course, some people were very skeptical and thought it was a bad idea. We thought it was a very good idea. Of course, since then, the world has moved from the experiences of the Delta variant and to the Omicron. And of course, you know what the experts say about Omicron, that though it is more contagious, it is less severe. And of course, people are starting to see it, rightfully or wrongfully, as nothing more than a bad flu if you're vaccinated, and therefore a lot less threatening than other variants we've had. And that has changed the landscape. And then all other Caribbean countries are announcing that they're going to have carnivals and events in Jamaica.
Saint Lucia was pretty much the leader on that.
Well, we're the only ones who had announced.
People were waiting for somebody to make the first step.
Precisely, and to present a concept of how it can be done. And therefore, the whole landscape has changed. And we're now going into the final, you know, month before Carnival. And you see a totally different landscape. And even as last month, when I kind of announced that we were going to try to return to a normal setting for Carnival. Again, the naysayers were saying, and the United Workers' Party, led by the former Prime Minister, was that, you know, it was irresponsible to do so. We didn't care about St. Lucian lives, and virtually predicting that hundreds would die because of Carnival, whatnot. And of course, again, it reflects the cheap opportunism that comes with such shallow thinking. Look at the numbers now, and we're not saying all will be well in a month's time, but surely you can see as we approach Carnival, you know, the numbers are in fact going down. Once you have a mass gathering, once you have a crowd, there will be spread. Let's not run away from it. You know, once people are interacting and someone is infected, it will spread. But we will be putting in place as much as possible measures to mitigate spread, to educate persons to take personal responsibility for their actions. So first of all, get vaccinated as the best defense. Secondly, follow the protocols, you know, social distancing, sanitize, wear your mask at all times. And once we finish with Carnival, let us focus on what we can do to manage the consequences, if there are any serious consequences, or any consequences for that matter. So we're really looking forward to an exciting carnival. From all indications, it will be a bumper carnival, not as big as 2019. Obviously, the world is not as open up. There are not as many flights as 2019. But we certainly expect to have an exciting carnival. And I guess all the other islands themselves are preparing to have carnival just as well. And we're certainly going to learn from those that go before us.
Of course.
And of course, those who come after us will learn from what we've done. But July is looking to be a very special month